What's up, everyone? Welcome to Elite Fantasy Nation podcast. I'm your host, Matt Dennis. You can follow me at Fantasy Matt EFN. Always with my boy, Pat Wendelken. You can follow him at CityStars136. And as you can see to my, I always get this confused, my right on the screen, we've got our
left
boy.
On mine, but it's good.
Yeah, left on yours, Mike McNutted from South Harmon, man. So we've been kind of chopping this up back and forth while getting you on for a minute. So it's been an honor and a privilege to have you on, man. So you can follow him at Iowa Michael on X, Twitter, what the hell you want to call it. So welcome, man. How are you?
What's up, buddy? Been a while.
Yeah.
I feel like I just saw you last weekend on stream.
Yeah, I was hungover all Sunday. That's all I got to say. So I was on the South Harmon live stream on Thursday night and Friday night, or Saturday, I should say, not Sunday. Saturday, I was all hungover. Day 3 of the NFL draft, it was a little rough for me. So
yeah, you bailed before the real good one, the 7.5 hours of just day 3 picks.
Yeah,
just
I jumped in
super exciting shit, you know.
Yeah, just the dog shit of picks. You're like, yep, there goes another pick that we're not going to talk about. So so it was an honor, man. Yeah, you got a punter. The Bears got a punter.
Yeah, got a punter.
That was a shocker.
From Iowa. Good job.
Dude, he's a beast. He went to Iowa. Yeah, but he's from Australia, right? He's an Australian punter, yeah. Australian football. Yep. Yeah. They call him a weapon. So they interviewed the GM Ryan Poles for the Bears, and he's like, "Oh, he's a weapon." He's like, "No doubt, like, he's going to be a weapon for our defense." So yeah, our punter sucks. So we need a new punter.
Stud, man. He had more punt yards than we had offensive yards. So
I heard that. Is that really true though?
That's really true.
Jesus Christ. Poor offense, man. Tight end you, but you guys can't do anything on offense besides tight end you. That's all you guys got.
The only thing I'd be worried about with him is his leg tired from all the kicking he had to do last year?
That's fair. I'm sure they can find people to massage his leg for him and figure it out.
Rest up, buddy. Rest up, yeah. Tori.
Rest up, man. Oh, Caleb dropped a tweet to him or a text to him apparently right after he was drafted. He's like, with our offense, we're not going to use it that much, so you'll be on the bench quite often. so I guess he was like, yeah, that works too. So what's up, Pat? How you been, man? How's the weekend?
Good, bro. It's flowing, man. Been waiting. Yo, Mike, so I'm going to tell you straight up.
All right, so I'll go.
Matt, I'm going to tell you this right now. What Matt was like, yo, Mike McNutted, dropped the pick that you gave. He expected to be this, and this. Like, you motivated me so much. I didn't care if I had to sell my son to make sure I didn't give you that great pick. I said, I don't care if I sell my whole team. Matt knows, this is my first time ever really running Dynasty. I've done a boatload of redrafts, some big ones. I'm like, it's cool, but I kind of learned as I went with this one. But after that comment, I'm like, fuck this. I was like, I will fucking sell my soul so I don't give him he was 1-3. Dude, you motivated the living shit out of me. I was like, okay, all right, let
me put context behind it real quick, and then Mike, I'd love for you to jump in. So Mike in South Harmon, obviously him and Adam do an amazing podcast. Everybody who's probably watching this has already seen their podcast, so I'm kind of preaching the choir, but they do the 4D chess, and they talk about trades. And it was last summer. I can't remember if it was before the expo or after the expo, and I was outside doing yard work, and I was listening to one of your 4D, chess, and you guys always start off with your own trades, right? So it was Mike was talking about Elite Fantasy Nation, and immediately I heard that because I had my iPad outside while I was working and I had my pods in, and I heard Elite Fantasy Nation, and I was like, oh shit, that's our league. And he's like, yeah, he's like, I got this. He's like, I did this trade. He's like, I got this draft pick in the first round. I looked up this team. It's gonna be dog shit. He's like, it's probably projected to be the top, the 101 to 103. He's like, so I'm all in. He's like, totally all in. Listen to the whole thing. You guys, I think, bantered probably about it for maybe about 5 or 10 minutes. So it's like a pretty long kind of conversation about how bad his team was. And then immediately I had to tell Pat. I was like, oh, dude, they totally. I was like, and his team at the time. I mean, he's good at doing trades. His team outside definitely was not, the best looking, but he ended up pulling it out. So. That gave him motivation, so that's where it's kind of coming from for anybody for context.
Yeah, we finally get it. It wasn't even a trade I made with you, Pat. It was somebody else who.
No,
it
was somebody else. Yeah, somebody else had his pick.
Yeah, I forgot who took my 101.
A-Kid.
Like that.
A-Kid.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Yeah, I'm like.
A-Kid had it. I traded him Jared Goff. I traded them Jared Goff for your pick. And that was the context. Like, I'm looking at this one. Like, this City Stars team is terrible.
You're like, this is tough. It's a rough team.
It's a rough team. Dude, so screwed.
Literally, bro, I'm in the middle of like a kid's birthday party at Dave & Buster's over here, and I'm with my son, and he's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I gotta stop. I put my head, I just stopped and went into like a quiet area and I listened to it. I said, that's it. He's like, what's wrong with you? I'm like, everything's great. Don't worry about it though.
He's like, I'm gonna figure this shit out.
I was like, I'll figure this out. I'm gonna go into my like studio over here in my little laboratory, and I'm gonna create something and make this work somehow, some way. Oh, I appreciate it, man. I liked it.
So you didn't finish in the bottom three. But no. I'm trying to look at where did you finish? You finished in the top four.
Top
4
or 10, 9, right?
Yeah, top 4. So not bad. I mean, not bad considering like how your team looked at the beginning of the season. Because it did look rough, man. Because
for sure.
When he was saying, I was like, ooh, this is like it's totally accurate, and yeah, it probably will be like kind of down. But yeah, Pat's good at doing trades, man. He's good at kind of moving pieces and figuring things out on the fly. So.
And now I'm back into that same laboratory to go rebuild and do it all over after this. So it was fun, though. It was worth it, man. Fun.
It's good.
I appreciate it, though. Learning curve, bro.
Don't feel bad, Matt. Don't feel bad, Pat. Matt was chirping me just a day or two ago, thanking me for the awesome picks that he had.
Dude, your comeback is
willfully ignoring the fact that I won the league.
The first year, the inaugural year. I love it, dude. I told him. I text him back. I text Pat. I was like, did you see me chirping him? And he's like, yeah, I saw that. And I was like, but his comeback, like, literally was just like, I can't say shit. Like, as soon as I saw that, I was like, all right, I guess he wins that. He wins that conversation. I'll just back up a little bit. Know my place, Mike. Know my place. Lesson learned.
It's a good time. It's a good league.
Hell
there's
yeah,
a lot
dude.
of interesting people in there.
Yeah,
you remember that first year too? Like I got absolutely fucking boned on a trade, so it's great.
Which trade did you get boned on? The first year, I remember because even during the initial startup draft, dude, that's how I got your picks. I got your rookie picks for like the next 2 years because you were trading up to get the QB. You got 2 elite quarterbacks right off the rip. And then I remember, what trade did you get screwed on though?
So I'd sent out, or I'd gotten a trade offer while I was on stream one night, like a live stream.
And you just like accepted it?
Yeah, so I just looked at it quickly and I just hit the accept button. We get done with the stream. I go back and I look at it and I'm like, oh my God, like this is missing a piece. Because we'd been countering back and forth for a while, right? That time. We'd been countering back and forth. I think it was like 15 minutes after like the button had been accepted, stream was over or whatever. I looked at it. I'm like, this is missing like DeAndre Hopkins or some shit out of this. Like, fuck no. So like I was like, I didn't mean to accept that. Like, that's not what we were negotiating or whatever.
Yeah. No, I do remember. Yeah. That was the first year, right?
Yeah, that guy was like, it's just trade remorse. And I'm like, 15 minutes after? Jesus Christ, okay. Whatever.
No, yeah, next day, 2 days later, whatever. It's like, you obviously live stream all the time. So it's like, it's pretty easy to kind of just, yeah.
I wasn't happy about it. I just fucking let it go and then, to go and win the league at the end of the year. I'm like, see, you even try to fuck me, I still beat you.
And then you just cross the finish line before everybody else, man. Your team was dominant that year too. You just were just running. There, like by midseason, it was like there's no question that Mike's going to win this. I was telling Pat that too. I was like, Pat and Roger, who used to be on the pod with us. I was like, there's no way he's not going to win this unless like his team completely just falls apart. Injury is like the only way you could have not won that league that year. Your team was stacked, so yeah.
It was a good year. Last year I tried to run it back, didn't work so well. And about halfway through the year, you're like, this ain't happening. All right, who wants all this shit? Come take it. Get it off my team.
Yeah, I saw that.
Garage sale.
I traded them all to Matt. I need all this shit back.
And then I'm still talking shit about the picks that I took back. So, all right, Pat, take us to the news real quick. We're gonna hit the news, and then since we got Mike here, man, Mike obviously just amazing in the space. Want to pick his brain about rookie class. Obviously, a lot of rookie drafts are happening right now. Want to kind of run through that? We just had ours. We can kind of talk through that in Elite, which is the Dynasty League that we're discussing currently. So we can kind of walk through the picks, and kind of just talk rookies and rises and fallers. A couple of questions I have for him before we really deep dive. But before that, I'll let Pat kind of walk us through some news.
Yeah, real simple, real short today. OBJ got the 1 year with the Dolphins, worth up to $8.25 million. So it's a lot of incentives mixed in there. So I saw him and Jalen Ramsey kind of going back and forth, wanting to do it again like they were out and with the Rams. See how that ends up. Chase Claypool 1 year with the Bills. Don't understand this one really that much, to be really, really honest with you, because there's a lot better choices out in there that you could have picked besides this. So yeah. I'm like, okay, it's only 1 year. And then DJ Chark with the Chargers, 1 year up to $5 million, which is pretty cool because that makes him like the number one there. I luckily picked him up in that free for all when he was a free agent. So see how that pans out. But simple, short news today, bro. Nothing crazy. Yeah. But really, so real quick, that Chase Claypool though. I mean, Mike, right? I mean, wouldn't you pick there's definitely a few other options you would have chose over him for sure, right?
That's a guy that has talent. I see that the deal wasn't really disclosed about how much it is, and it is just for 1 year. But it also kind of, it kind of feels like just with that. I mean, depending on what the contract is, they bring him in, they see what he has in training camp, and if he doesn't have it, then that's a dude who doesn't even get out of training camp alive. They're just like, oh, well, you obviously just regressed into nothing. Like, you're terrible.
Yeah. It's his attitude. So, I mean, honestly, it's his attitude. I think the talent is all there. And actually, that kind of leads to another question that I was going to throw at you, Mike. Out of those three conversations, I mean, we're talking wide receiver 3 for most of these guys, right? So they're not going to be, people are going to win your league. But out of the three, who are you upside-wise most excited about? If there is any upside on any of them, and they could all be a no, and they're all dog shit and you'll pass. But are there any that kind of like strike your fancy of like, hey, I'm willing to kind of throw a quick waiver pick on this guy just to see what the hell happens?
I'd spend the same amount on all of them. Just here's $1. here's $1. Yeah. Really, I mean, Chark. Once upon a time, I was the biggest DJ Chark fan, but the injury just kind of sapped him, and then he never really got back there. So, and it's also a extremely low volume passing offense, right? Yeah. They drafted Ladd. That's going to be your number one, and then I don't know. Maybe Chark will have a game or two for best ball purposes. OBJ, man. He's got one of the greatest agents of all time. Just keeps stealing big money deals from everybody left.
Dude, him and Cousins. Whoever your fucking agents are, man. Holy shit.
He has been washed since
his injury. The Giants. Giants, really.
Well, since the Giants, really. Like, he had some moments in Cleveland, and then he had like a moment in LA. Like the Super Bowl. Like, oh, it would have been great if he would have stayed healthy. Yeah.
That he didn't tear his ACL.
I mean, even last year he had like a game or two where you were interested in, but that's it. I mean, now you go to Miami, who doesn't really use a third wide receiver, at least
they barely lose a second. I mean, look at look at Waddle last year. Like he fell off a cliff.
Majorly.
Yeah, so I don't know. None of them are all that interesting. If you're in a traditional lineup league, like, okay, maybe you throw them at the end of your bench, but that's about it. Like, don't go trade for them. Don't blow your fab on them. In a best ball league, you could be a little bit more like, hey, I'll throw a few bucks on them just to, have a 7th or 8th or 9th wide receiver who may have a week at some point if they make a roster. But I don't know if I had to rank them most interesting. I'd probably say OBJ, then Chark, then Claypool, dead last. But in reality, I'm not looking to spend more than like maybe a few bucks of my fat budget just to toss them at the back end of my roster.
Totally agree. And it's actually funny because before Pat picked him up on free agent in another league, I actually had him. I was about to drop him because I just finished up the rookie draft and I'm one player over. So I've got to drop somebody. At the time, he hadn't been signed. So I was about to drop him. But, again, if looking at it, I agree. Chase is at the bottom. I don't think he's going to make it through rookie. His attitude and his personality, I don't think he's going to fit well with the Buffalo Bills. They're not going to put up with this shit. They obviously got rid of Diggs for the same reason, diva aspect. DJ Chark was the one that I was actually a little bit more like, not saying like he's going to, excel, but the fact that, you've got a rookie coming in there, the offense is going to be low volume, but at least he's already established within as a veteran, and maybe he might be able to get, at least at the beginning of the season, get some more passing volume at the beginning. I don't think he's going to be a long-term season play. And then OBJ, I just think in that offense, who knows? I mean, a couple of good games and, they're all, dude, that offense is like, Jesus, it's like speed. It's like they're all taking, like they're all doing speed before they run out on the football field. And they're all just like run around and just gonna outwill you and outrun you basically the whole time. So that's my thought on those.
Is OBJ even better than the guy they drafted this year, Malik Washington, to kind of be their third?
I mean, at this point in his
or
career,
Taj Washington, the other Washington they drafted as well.
No,
I don't think that's a lock. If he has a role, like I'm sure he might have. If he secures the number 3 wide receiver, he might have a game or two. To be completely honest, but that's it. Like, do you know when it's going to come? Nobody knows. Nobody's got an idea. Think about when Tyreek went down last year towards the end of the year. Like, you picked up the number 2 option, or who you thought was going to be the number 2 option in Miami, and like that guy barely did anything most of the time. Right. Like, the offense was just bad. So
it goes back to the Waddle. Yeah, it's basically Tyreek Hill. And before that, like, Waddle was the only one. He's the one. So it's I mean, the offense has one wide receiver, and that's pretty much about it. So, and honestly, the offense is only good when they're playing bad teams. If they play a really good defense, the really good defense will shut them down. If you look at like game by game, when they played really good defenses, like they didn't really, the wide receivers didn't have great games. So, just thought it was worth the conversation, to kind of kick it off.
Oh, for sure. There's nothing else going on after the draft.
Well, that's the thing. Everybody's really excited. Okay, so you got the two things. You got the NFL draft. Everybody's stoked about it. Can't wait. You have all these live streams. Then you've got rookie draft bonanza, and everybody's like, can't wait to kick off. I had so many drafts that were supposed to start Friday of this week. And people couldn't wait after the draft, like Monday or Tuesday, like, let's just kick it off. And then everybody's excited to run to the finish line. And now you got to wait from May now until September to I guess you got rookie minicamp and all this other stuff in between. But I mean, in general, there's not much going on. So it's this dead silence part of the season. So three questions. Go ahead.
We'll get some shorts, highlights here in the next couple of weeks, like look at that route that guy.
Yeah, look at that ball that he threw in his t-shirt and shorts, and like he threw a perfect dime, and it's just like amazing. And they're gonna like look at the chemistry that they're building before like anybody's even having 7-on-7s or even like contact football. So
even before that too, then you're gonna hear like, oh, who got injured next? Who's gonna make it through the camp like without anything? They're like, oh, well, there he goes. Oh, there he goes.
Don't bring us down already, Pat. All right.
Oh man,
we're still riding high.
Dude, that's why you get right now, bro. That I dealt with Joe Burrow never making it out of goddamn training camp or anything every year. He never even makes through anything. It's always something. That's why I'm like, I need a good solid year because I'm a Bengal fan, even I'm in New Jersey, but I need a solid year. We built the monster line, and I'm like, just make it through camp and let me see you start everything cleanly this year. Yeah, that's all I want.
He's a Bengals fan. He's in Jersey. And then Iowa Mike is obviously in Iowa, and he is an Eagles fan. So you guys are going half cross country the other way.
Let's go. We got some frequent flyer miles we got to use, right, Pat?
Hell yeah, man.
Listen, dude, I travel, and you play. We play the Bengals. I mean, you play the Bengals this year. I know that.
There you go. Is it
Schedule's coming out May. I think it's coming out May.
I don't know if they're away or home. I'll find out actually.
Schedule's not out yet. Yeah, it's not out.
Yeah, but I could tell you who's home and away. They'll tell you.
That's true. No, you're right. You can't tell you what week. You can tell the home away.
Yeah, all right. Well, he played the. I have to go down and see T-Rock. to go to that
where's he at? He's in Jersey too.
He's down. He's in Columbus, so he's a little bit closer to Cincy than Adam is. So might be able to fit that in. T-Rock. What's up?
I'm down.
T-Rock, what's up? Hell yeah. All right. While he's looking that up, 3 questions for you, Mike. People may or may not know, but just figured why not. How long have you been doing Dynasty football for?
Started in 2018 with my first official Dynasty.
Really? That's it?
Sleeper.
I always thought that you guys have been doing this a lot longer.
Nope. 2018 was my first year for Dynasty football and sleeper. Before that, it was all keeper leagues, home league keepers, that kind of stuff.
Redrafts.
And been doing fantasy football for like 20 some years at this point, over 20 years. Yeah. Since I was 14. long time playing for money for fantasy football. But Dynasty was something I always wanted to get into, but you had to go on MFL and pay like a fucking league fee, which was stupid. Yeah.
Or Sleeper was like the key.
There were some other like paid sites out there that you could use, but like all those required that you like lived in a gambling forward-thinking state.
Yep.
Yeah, which Iowa is not. It's not. We still don't even have Underdog here, for fuck's sake. That's how bad it is. So, yeah, 2018 as soon as I think I was on like a Reddit forum or something, just like browsing around, and they're like, "There's this new platform, Sleeper. You can create these leagues and then just handle all the league dues through this thing called League Safe." And once that floodgates open for that, it's been a crazy addiction ever since.
Hell yeah. And that's how you got to know Adam through obviously the Patreon with Ray GQ and kind of like being, I think Adam was talking about like when we were on the live feed, he was saying that like basically it was like, that's how you guys had a lot of similar kind of like ideations or thoughts on like Dynasty and like how to kind of build teams and roster construction and all of that. And you guys started bonding that way. And then that's how you guys kind of like decided to do your own thing and do the podcast, right?
Yeah, I can tell you it started off a terrible take that I wish I could have back, was defending James Robinson. So,
and this is
we could have had that one back.
What year was this in? 20.
So this would have been coming off his rookie year, going into his second year. So this whole idea right now of like Kyron Williams, where he's at when they draft somebody else to bring in, you got a guy with little to no draft capital who explodes on the scene and does a whole hell of a lot just for 1 year.
Yep.
Yeah,
so it's giving you flashbacks. It's giving you trauma. It's giving you trauma.
Adam,
you're like,
Adam, I think we've been down this fucking road before, ain't we, bud?
Maybe
we'll get on the right side of history this time, huh?
Hell yeah. Oh yeah, you gotta learn, man. I mean, lessons learned sometimes are hard, right?
Tell my 7-year-old kid that.
All right, question 2.
Jumping off his shit all the time and getting hurt.
Oh, dude, kids, you can't. Kids, you can't do shit about, man. I mean, I've got my daughter will be 27 this year, so yeah, kids are nuts. I'm 45. We'll be 46. For anybody who wants to do the math, you can figure it out.
See, you look good. You still got hair. All right, you got nice skin. I look,
thanks, man.
I look like I'm 50.
Oh, stop, man.
It's like all age. Jesus.
Age is just it's all mental, in my opinion. At least every time I am. All right, second question.
Dynasty leagues.
In the Dynasty leagues, dude,
Dynasty leagues make me old.
When I went to, they make you old, by the way. When I went to the shit house, or the shit school, I should say. When I got there and I saw how young everybody was, I was like, oh fuck! Like, that was like the moment when I really felt old. I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm old enough. I don't know if I'm young enough to hang with these young guys. Like, and drink as long and as often as like what everybody does when you're in your 20s and 30s. I was like, I used to be there. I remember that, but I'm like, that was a decade or two ago. You start to do the
you got a few months to practice now, Matt. Like work.
I gotta. Yes, I just gotta prep.
Oh, I'll be there. I'll have tequila. That's all.
He's going.
So I'm going. I'm booked. I'm ready, bro.
Yeah,
I'm excited for this experience.
Dude, he's stoked. I tried to get him to go last year, but unfortunately the timing just didn't work out. Him and Roger, I was trying to get both of them to go. It just didn't end up working out, so I went solo. And it was an amazing time, dude. You guys were amazing hosts and invited everybody in, so it was killer.
It's
question 2.
Bigger and better this year.
That's what I've heard.
Bigger and better,
excited, dude. He knows. Dude, we booked the room already. I booked my flight already. Like, everything is set, dude. I was like, I did everything so far in advance. I'm like, so I'm dedicated. That's it.
All right. Question 2. He's in hardcore. Your favorite Dynasty format that you play in. So I know we've since I've known you, the year that I've been following you guys, you kind of have pivoted a couple of different ways on kind of your format. But if let's say you're doing a new Dynasty league right now, it's for anybody who's obviously this is not only rookie draft season, but there's also time where people are doing startups. Like, what's your must do this, must do that? I'm only interested in doing this type of format as to why, and kind of fill in the blanks from there.
Probably the must. The must is going to be Superflex for one. I won't play in one QB.
Hell no, dude. Have you ever been in one QB league, Dynasty league?
Yeah, people used to ride horses. People used to ride horses to work too, and then we figured out that cars were better.
Yeah,
so
for sure,
we good.
Why are you fucking around? Yeah. Don't fuck around with that.
Yeah, my home league redraft is still one quarterback, and I fucking hate it. I hate it with passion. So Dynasty, Superflex. And then just because of how many leagues and portfolio stuff I do, like, it has to be best ball at this point. I'll make a special case for a lineup league if it's like 12 good people, like real close friends or whatever, and it's like a league that's going to be pretty competitive and that you're going to be fun in. But I just don't have fucking time. I don't have time to set a bunch of lineups. So last year was a big year. cut down a lot of lineup leagues. I think I went from like 15 or 20, something like that, down to 6.
That's a lot.
6 or 7.
That's a lot.
Where I'm like, this is what I can handle every Sunday. I don't feel like an asshole because we stream and stuff on Sundays too. And then by the time
you guys do a lot, you guys are pumping out content left and right. You guys are doing a lot of shit.
This dude pulled his hammy in warm-ups. Fuck. Now I got to like scramble to find every place that I started this guy in. I just couldn't do it.
Or he got pulled 5 minutes before the game and you didn't have a chance to pull him out of your lineup.
Not only are you hurting yourself, but like you're hurting the integrity of the league, really, because somebody's going to get a free win off of that, and now it's just a clusterfuck. So, best ball for me, but Superflex and best ball, pretty much the 2 standards, and then like the ancillary stuff, 12 teams. It's like a must. 12 teams. Not doing 10 or 8. I don't know. Piss out of here. Find some more people. Get some more friends.
Yeah, get some more friends. Even if you don't have friends, go on the internet. You can find some friends.
Yeah. Post on Reddit or the Sleeper looking for league. Whatever. I don't give a shit. Find something. You can find people all the time. And then I really like deep rosters. I'm not a big fan of like shallow benches, where there's only like 15 bench spots. Make that thing deep. Make it deep. Ooh. I want the waivers to be dog shit. This is Dynasty. Let's promote trading. Let's promote like I need this. I gotta go to the trades. I gotta go to my league mates to find the replacement that I need. I'm not gonna find it on waivers. Fuck them waivers.
Yeah, 100% agree. And I think that's kind of one of the keys too, is look how big your benches are. Also, honestly, do that when it comes to like when you're doing trades, because there's this one league that I'm in. I didn't realize how shallow the benches are. I'm currently looking at it. There's 12 bench spots, 13 bench spots. So remember that, right? 13 bench spots. I was like doing really bad at it, and I'm in a lot of leagues like you, so I kind of challenged myself in different ways. So one of the things that I did was I wanted to do one where it was a startup last year, and I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to go all in for rebuild right off the rip. I'm just going to like trade all these picks and purposely tank and whatever. I have 16 draft picks this year in that league, and there's 12 bench spots. And I can't trade those draft picks. Nobody's even biting. We haven't started our draft yet, and nobody's even biting. I'm trying to like give away. I'm like 2 for 1. Like I'll move up a spot or 2, and everybody's like nope. Like nobody's like. So know how deep your 12 bench is dog shit.
I hate it. I hate shallow. Shallow's terrible.
Of course, dude. Especially this rookie class. I'm like, oh my god, like I could crush it. Like this is gonna be amazing with all these draft picks, and I'm like, I can't even keep all these guys. Like it sucks. So last question that I'll throw it to Pat, see if he wants to ask you something before we jump into rookies. How many Dynasty leagues are you in currently, if you know?
45 plus. How about that for an answer?
45
it's
plus.
45 something. I might be 47.
No, I mean, you could say mid-40s, whatever, in the 40s. I mean,
it's in the 40s to 50s, somewhere in there for now.
But a lot of them are obviously best ball, which makes it a little bit easier.
Yeah, I'll probably have another 5 or 6 before the actual season starts. So right now is like a busy time because I commish so many leagues, and you got to fill orphans, and you got all these rookie drafts, and then of course you got 17 and a half or whatever the hell it was hours streaming the NFL draft. So it's just it's a grind right now. But as soon as like we're just about at the end of it, orphans are getting filled, leagues are drafted, rookie draft, and then in a couple of weeks I'll be sitting going, you know what I need?
I'm kind of bored.
I could use another startup. I could use another startup.
And you got a victim over here if you want to do another startup. Pat will offer his financial offerings to anybody who wants to.
I'm in.
Invite him in a startup.
I'm in, bro. Let's do it.
All right, Pat. You got anything?
Like I said, go ahead.
If you join one with us, it's going to be best ball, so you don't even have to worry about it, right? You go on easy street.
I'm cool. I like it like that. Like I was telling Matt too, like learning this, and this is really my first one. I've done a bunch of redraft. Some heavy price redrafts I'm in every year. I commissioned one that people have been in it forever, good friends. But like you said, it's a lot of action. It's a little deeper bench. I'm on, always 12 team, full point PPR. I've been in Austin Eckler's league last year. He was fun to play in. I was in his charity league. That was fun. A couple other like baseball players there in some of my leagues. So you always have people with like heavy hitters. So it gets intense. Like a lot of shit talking. People want to kill each other and fly over the country to beat each other's ass. It's fun. But the dynasty aspect, and I was telling Matt, it's like I'm a fiend now. So it's like I'm always looking for more. And like, I'm like, damn, I'm like,
oh, we're addicts,
you know,
man.
instead
let's just be honest. Like we're all, everybody on the stream
like,
is a degenerate addict, like of some sort.
And telling people that like, they're like, what's Dynasty? I'm like, it's what you do on steroids and it continues. There is no end, bro. Like you're in it. It's a full loop. Like there's always something that can happen. Like there could be a trade in the middle of July. I'm like, February, anything. There's always something. So it's like, once like, you know, your playoffs die in that 12-person, you know, redraft, you're like, damn, I got to wait all the way to like August, start doing my research. And then your draft is, you know, 2 days before the season starts. And I'm like, yeah, no, this is a continuous loop. And I was like, damn, I'm like, I told Matt, I'm fucking hooked, man. I'm like, that's why I'm like, get me another fucking draft. Give me another 2 or 3. I'm like, I need more, bro. I'm like, this is my entry, like my entry to this. And I'm like, I'm learning. But after getting, you know, the first 2 years, I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, I fucking like this. I'm like, I want more, bro. Like, I need more. I'm like, shit, fucking 16 people. I was like, man, I don't care. I want more competitive. I want it where, like, you said,
tough.
I'm just saying, like, I've been in a 14 full point PPR redraft. Like, it makes it like where your trades and your picks are fucking golden. You better know what you're doing, because if not, you're done, bro. There's nothing left over, like Mike was saying. Like I like that, because like your knowledge is put to the test. Minus injuries and freak shit happening, you know who's really about it, who's really not. That's why I'm up for the challenge. So Mike, definitely my hands raised. I want a shark league, bro. I want sharks. That's all I want.
We got some for you. We'll get you in one of these patron leagues that we got.
He's talking about he wants a baller entry too, so he wants like a heavy entry.
I'm in, bro.
He's all in.
Look at him go. I love it.
Let's go, bro.
Yeah, we'll get you in there, man. If you got the addiction, right? You want that drug? I'm the dealer.
Yeah,
that's what I'm talking about.
You know who to call. You know who to call. Let's go.
Hell yeah, bro. But yeah, like I said, it's been like when I've listened to you guys, and I'm like, I like it, like the in depth and like the knowledge, and like I said, like Dynasty is just a different view, and like I never really like you really gotta look at rookies in college play such a fucking role now. Like I'm like, holy shit, like you need to know you're like, you gotta look really deep and far. I'm like, shit, I might be looking at high school kids before you know it. Like who's really like, I'm telling you, like it puts you into that space, and like Matt knows, like my knowledge is definitely like gaining more momentum as we go. And I'm like, my friend's like, oh, you know this guy? I'm like, yeah, I paid attention like a year or two ago. I'm like, oh, all right. I'm like, see, now you know.
So,
and that's why I kill him into other leagues.
So it's a gateway too to the conversation. So I mean, I'm in one C2C league. I don't know. Are you in any? You got to be in a couple, right, Mike?
Oh yeah,
Campus Scan. Yep. Yeah, so Campus Scan, like that's so my buddy Jack was texting me earlier because we were just doing one of my first Dynasty leagues that I created. We're doing rookie draft, and he's like, "Wow, like you really know?" And I'm like, "Yeah, dude, it's Campus Scan. Like this player is 2, 3 years, 4 years out. So by the time it comes to like rookie draft, you're not setting anything. You're basically just like you know who you're going to target, you know who's worth it, who's not. I mean, there's a couple of surprise guys that come up there last year. Last year is my first Campus Canton league, so obviously it takes a couple of years to kind of get that in. But yeah, dude, it's like that's the next addiction is like you once you start to get through NFL, you're like, who else can I start making money off of? College? Why not? Let's figure this out. Like, how do we then transition that knowledge into the NFL? And it's
I like it, Pat, because you mentioned about the high school kids, right? Like, right? You're like, oh, Dynasty, you got to know the college kids. Wait till you get into a C2C league. You got to know the high school kids. You're gonna be literally sophomores in high school. Like,
you're literally like watching like the college signings, like the national signing day. Like you're literally like pay attention to all of that. Like the number one recruit in whatever 2026 high school class you're already paying attention to. So yeah, it's awesome. It's weird. It's wicked, man.
Hey man, that's all right, bro. I'm not saying like anything else. I know the South's known for it, but like here in New Jersey, New York, bro, there's some sick ass high school teams. In North Jersey, bro, it's super competitive, bro. Like we've had some pros come right out of the few of the Catholic schools right by my house. So I'm like, it gets intense. And I've been to the high school games. It looks like college. It's flooded. And then ESPN's been there. Like we got like MSG. Like we had like major networks filming some of these kids. So if I could see it leading, I could be going down that route. I'm like, yep. I have my little notepad, but yeah, that's him. No problem.
Go to scouting
I see you, buddy. Yeah. I'm intense, man. I like it.
All right. Let's jump into a couple of kind of like, let's talk about the rookies. Obviously, rookie, we talked about rookie drafts are happening right now. So kind of just deep dive, a couple of questions I have. We'll kind of open forum. I'll kind of shoot it, start with Mike, and then we'll go to Pat, and then I can kind of interject my thoughts too. And then if we got time at the end, we'll throw up our last draft in Elite Fantasy Nation, and we'll talk through some steals or some players that we feel like why the hell were they drafted this early? So first question that I got, I'll throw it to you, Mike. What is the one rookie that you refuse to draft? I know like everybody's got their thought of like if they fall far enough, the value's there, I'll draft them. I'm of the nature, I'd rather pick up somebody that I have faith in versus like the value is so good, I'm going to take a risk on somebody that I don't think is really worth it. So off the rip, like anybody that you can think of, where they're like, regardless of where they fall, or usually they get drafted before you can even pick them anyways, but they're just not somebody you're targeting at all.
Like I stay pretty player agnostic, and I'm really about value, just how I normally approach things. Like I have some of my favorites, and then I have some people that I'm not too high on, but there are 2 guys in this class just because it's so deep and you find all these rounds, just there's so many good players in there.
This class is very unusual.
I will not, and I don't think I have through 40 some leagues or whatever. I won't have any shares of Audric Estime or Bucky Irving at all. Like,
and is it just like their profile?
Yeah, sometimes they go in the late second, sometimes they're a 4th round pick. But either way, like there's other players that I will take at every single spot. Even if they're in the 4th, I could come up with 3 or 4 running backs I'd rather have over them. And it's because of their profile, right? Sub 90 speed score running backs are a real bad bet. I don't give a shit what the draft capital is. You've had like one big hit in the last how many years from that same type of profile out of sub, and it's Kyron Williams. And it's a guy who
maybe took 2 years.
Bodied. Well, yeah, it took 2 years and maybe gets bodied this year. Like we don't know. So it's just a bad bet. The Bucky Irving landing spot, you're like, okay, I can kind of see it. The Audric Estime, Javonte isn't anything like super special, but go look at like their profiles like, side by side. And like Javonte at least hit some of those metrics like above 90 speed score, right? Like we've seen him produce on the field at an NFL level. Even if you don't like the guy, you're like, I got to acknowledge like he's still got NFL work.
Yep.
Yeah, we've seen him do it. Estime is just like, man, name me another 4-7 running back who like did shit in the NFL to that extent. And even if you go look at LeGarrette Blount is somebody that pointed out. He ran a real slow 42, but he was also 240 some pounds.
He just run you over. He didn't run past you. He just run through you. That's much different.
It's just a tough profile. And then the Bucky Irving one, he's so fucking tiny. Like his film is awesome.
He's so small.
I love watching his film, and some of his advanced metrics are really good as far as missed tackles forced and all this stuff. But dude, I'm trying not to be a size snob, but NFL, it's just so tough, man. NFL's so tough. It's not like playing in the Pac-12. You're going to get fucking nuked. You're going to get nuked. One of these NFL linebackers that goes out and runs a 4.40 at 300.
You're going to wake up a week later in the hospital.
Yeah, is going to decleat you and kill you. So I'm good. There's plenty of other running backs that I'd rather take over those 2 guys. So top on my list will not draft. I would have thrown Malachi Corley on there, but I did just draft a share of them just because, fuck it, why not? We'll have one on my team somewhere. Like I could see possibly him having a role, but his profile is not very good either. That kind of low 8-out wide receiver. Yeah. Laviska Shenault, right? There's your comparison.
Especially coming from the division that he came into. It wasn't elite, obviously. It wasn't a top tier, college division regardless as well. Mine, for whatever reason, is like I can't get over it. I don't know, maybe it's because of the past couple of years, but Xavier Legette. I think it's because of the fact that because he hit so late. My nephew actually goes to South Carolina, so I got a chance. I went to my first college game this last year, and I got a chance to watch him play. It's just like I just get weird vibes of a couple years ago, Tennessee Titans. Oh my God, I'm blanking for whatever reason. Tennessee Titans came out, and everybody was like, "Oh my God, he's the next big thing, wide receiver."
Justin Hunter?
No, 2 years ago. Nope. He's still on the team, but. There's been a couple of prospects that are kind of bigger like that. Treylon Burks, thank you. Yeah, Treylon Burks. Yeah, blank there.
So I'm old as shit, so I went way back to Justin.
No, you went way back. I was like, no, dude, not that far. Just a couple of years back. Just get this like weird vibe that late obviously season breakout or late career breakout, I guess, within college. His last year. I think it was his 4th year in college. Production was good, but it's like for his size and everything, he should have been much better early in his career, and he just never really hit any of the matrix at all. And he's like one of the guys that goes earlier, like I'm pulling up our draft in Elite Fantasy Nation. He went 2.6 And I'm like, that just to me was like super early. The other guy that I don't know why this isn't a metrics thing. Xavier Worthy is another guy that his speed is there. He obviously broke the combine record for the 40 at 4.21, but you're talking run back in size. His size, he's smaller than, like, I know a lot of the wide receivers coming out now are small. Like a couple of years ago, nobody had ever drafted them. They were drafted in the 4th, 5th round. They were not really high end. They proved that they can work in the league. But he's so much smaller than everybody else. Devontae Smith is bigger than him, and Devontae Smith came out like everybody's like, he's so small, he's never gonna make it in the NFL. He's actually smaller, and I feel like it's gonna take one big hit, and that dude's gonna get broken in half. And like, is he ever gonna be able to be the same player? His speed's there, but it's just there's something. I had a draft last night, and I passed him up and took Brian Thomas instead, which most people believe that Xavier, given the Kansas City offense, his speed. He's the only wide receiver pretty much in the offense with Sky Moore has obviously been trash. That like he's the one to go for, and it's just like I that profile just scares me, dude. That skinny in the NFL. I don't know. Those are the two that kind of popped up.
I like that. I do got some pushback on the Xavier Legette one, and probably because he's a little bit more of my favorite. It was a 5th-year breakout in college, which is like
5th year. I thought it was 5, but
no, you hit it on the head though. It's still fucking very concerning. It's very concerning. My only pushback is this is a guy who was just learning how to play wide receiver, like getting to college. Yep. So he was a high school quarterback, ran triple option, that kind of thing.
Transitioned.
So when he got to college, and it wasn't that. I mean, he didn't produce on the receiving yards and that kind of thing, but he got on the field early because he was such a good special teams player. Like they put him on special teams.
The talent was there.
Yeah. I think a lot of it for me is it just took him a while to like put together how to run a route, how to get that kind of separation and actually use the physical gifts he has. And I think one of the best things about it is this class is so deep, like at the 206, like where he went in our draft. I mean, sometimes he goes even later.
Yeah.
There's just not a lot of guys I can put behind him that I can justify taking over when an NFL team said, yeah, we're trading up one pick. We want to get that 5th-year option and take you in the 1st round. So
yeah. That's
like
fair.
everybody else who goes behind him kind of has those. I would say you'd have a problem if you were to take him over like a Keon Coleman or Brian Thomas, Xavier Worthy type. Like that's interesting. And then the Xavier Worthy thing, I think he's a lot more like Devontae Smith than John Ross, right? Or
I totally agree with that. 100% agree with that. The talent's better.
I'm going to throw out a few comps that you can say actually that size with the speed actually hit, right? So you have the Devontae Smith thing, but if that one doesn't work out, how about another former Eagles wide receiver, Deshaun Jackson? Like that one worked
I've heard
out
that.
Okay. Very small.
Yeah.
Brandon Cooks, who we think of Brandon Cooks now, but think about Brandon Cooks when he first came in the league, just
his first 2 or 3 years. Oh shit, yeah, dude. Yeah.
And then T.Y. Hilton. T.Y. Hilton.
I didn't think about the T.Y. The other two I not had heard of before. Deshaun I definitely heard of before, but the Cooks make sense as well. But I didn't think about the T.Y. Yeah, he was definitely smaller framed. And again, it's becoming more prevalent in the NFL, and I totally agree. Like his talent was there. His production was there as a freshman. At Texas, he produced. He was on the field right away at an elite school too. It's not like, you're going to, like University of wherever, where it's like kind of your, like you're at Texas, dude. Like you earlier, Pat talked about the states that pump out football players. Texas is one of the biggest ones. Like you don't fuck around with football in Texas. And they put him on the field at that university as a freshman. So there's obviously talents there. So I mean, I'll probably be wrong on that one by all means. It just, I guess that's one thing that I need to get better at. Is I've only been Dynasty in probably about 3 or 4 years. I guess 4 years. This is my 4th year, and it's like you gotta let go of those like tendencies of like those guys that just leave a bad taste in your mouth, and you're like, I can't touch this guy because of that, and you gotta like figure out a way to kind of cut that and just go off of value and figure out like how you can kind of diversify. So I've been getting better at that the past couple of years, but definitely something that's not easy.
Yeah, I faded the shit out of Tank Dell last year, and I hated every minute of it after he broke out, right? But he didn't have first-round draft capital. He wasn't on the Chiefs. He went to the fucking Texans of all places. He came
with a rookie quarterback.
He came from a small school, right? And I was like, oh, man, and he's tiny, like all these negative red flags. And most people whiffed. I mean, some people love Tank Dell, so good for them. But I did not. And now you're sitting here going like, fuck, I wish I had some more Tank Dell, man. Could have got him in the 4th, 5th round of my rookie draft. Would have been nice.
Could have sold him for the bag. Could have sold him for the bag right now. He'd be happy.
Oh, yeah.
What about you, Pat?
At least with Xavier Worthy, you got first-round draft capital. You got the Chiefs. You
100%.
got Patrick Mahomes. You got a bigger school profile. You got earlier production, right? You mentioned as a freshman came out and broke out as a true freshman.
Yep.
In the Big 12, like a major conference, playing against
major conference,
major town. Yeah, at that size, right? Being tiny didn't matter to him, so he still.
It's not like you're in the Pac-12 where they don't have defense. You know, the Pac-12 they're notorious for not having defense, but they got a whole bunch of offense. So it's easier to.
It's not the MAC,
right? It's not the MAC.
It's not MACtion. Thursday night MACtion.
All right, Pat. What about you? Anybody that you're kind of like? I know we just did a rookie draft, but there's anybody that you're just like, through your research and everything, you're just like, oh hell no.
It was Bo Nix for me, completely.
Yeah. Okay.
I was like, dude, he went to the Broncos, one of probably the worst rosters in the NFL. Horrible offensive line, no weapons to throw to. There's nothing to learn off of from him in anything. He struggled in Auburn, right? Transfers, and then I'm like,
oh, he's horrible at Auburn. 2 seasons,
and I'm
like,
sucked. And then 3 seasons, and then he completed less than 60% of his attempts, man. And he's 24 years old. So all that, I was like, hell no, bro. That's it. Stay away. You and Zach Wilson can go fucking burn in a dumpster somewhere. I was like, that's good enough for me. That was number one on my thing. I was like, stay away, out of everything, you know?
You don't think Sean Payton can figure out how to unlock something in him?
I don't know, man. Dude, he struggled, bro. Like, you transferred because you couldn't handle the heat, bro. And I'm like, that offensive line is horrible in Denver, dude. He's going to get eaten alive playing against some of those people, bro. Go against freaking the Chiefs.
I mean, he went from the SEC to the Pac-12, too. So, again, he went from, like, great elite defenses to, horrible defenses in the Pac-12 who they barely cover anybody. But, Superflex, like, the pushback that I have on that is Superflex, the best thing about a quarterback is, like, it's the most valuable position. And I have the same thoughts about Bo Nix. I don't think, I question what he's going to be or how long he's going to be it. But you draft him. Yeah. He has those two amazing, Will Levis. You could look at Will Levis from a couple seasons ago, and it's like, he has a couple of good games, and you sell that. You get the hell out of there as quickly as possible and move on, and hopefully get at least a first round draft pick and maybe 2 out of it, and just call it a day and move on.
Pat, I mean, like I said,
you're not wrong, man. I wasn't a big.
No,
Bo Nix
I don't think anybody's a big.
Yeah, I'm like,
well, there's a few people in our Discord really pushing for Bo Nix, right? Because look at his completion percentage and look how many yards he had and all this shit. And I go look at his ADOT or watch the film. This is a fucking check down king if I've ever seen one. I've watched it.
I couldn't. I was like,
Pat, it was a Pac-12.
When he played at Auburn, he played in a system that required him to push the ball down the field more. And he was fucking terrible at it. He was terrible.
He was horrible.
he goes to a more quarterback-friendly system where they don't ask him to do much, right? Like, all right, scramble around, but here, find your check downs, throw a bunch of screen passes. We're going to have this design stuff.
Let the fast guys run. Yep. Okay,
when he throws a deep ball, it looks nice. And he was decent when he did throw a deep ball, but you don't get a 6.9 ADOT, which is abysmal. Abysmal. By being this super great quarterback down the field. But Matt, to your point, he's a quarterback in super flex leagues. He's a rookie quarterback who we know for the least probably the next 2 years. I don't care how bad he is in the NFL. Probably the at least next 2 years he's starting in Denver.
He's got a runway.
Going to have a job. Yep. He's one of 32 quarterbacks who has a job. And in today's day and age, having that security is good, right? We don't know how much longer Daniel Jones has. He could have 6 games left in him. We don't know how much longer Geno Smith has. You don't know how much longer Aaron Rodgers or Matt Stafford has, being older on the injury. Fuck, after this draft, we don't know how long Kirk Cousins has. Yeah. We thought we knew when he signed a $100 million contract. And
he's golden. Not so much.
And then look who you draft. I'm like...
So I honestly, man, I wasn't a Bo Nix fan coming in, but after the NFL draft, I got to sit back and just throw my priors out and go, I play a league types where I need fucking quarterbacks. I need quarterbacks with solid jobs that I can build the rest of my roster around, knowing listen, very least I'm going to plug this fucking guy in. He's going to give me somewhere between 10 and 15 points every single week. Maybe he'll have a good game. Yeah, I'm plugging a spot. It's much better than filling it with Odell Beckham, because that's the only thing I can put in my Superflex, right? Like, I would much rather fucking have Bo Nix on there. So I had to put my priors aside on Bo Nix, and unfortunately for me, because I did put my priors aside, I fucking drafted Bo Nix everywhere.
Did you?
Everywhere. Yes.
That was like me. That's like me with Will Levis, because it got to a point, where Will Levis is falling so much where I'm like, the value, going back to value equation, I'm like, he's a quarterback. Like, I'll just snag him up. And it was like, I think I got him in 8 leagues out of my 13 that I have in Dynasty, just because like he started falling so much where I'm like, at this point, like, it's a crime if I let him fucking go past me. So I'll just take him, and hopefully this season we'll see if he does something. And then same thing as Bo Nix. And then you flip him and you get a couple of picks for the next couple of years, and you move on with your life. So you're not going to rely on that guy for 4 or 5 years. No way now.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's projected him to be the next coming, right?
No, not at all.
He's never going to be a first-round startup pick, I don't think.
No.
Yeah, like Mike, and it's not a shot to you or anyone. I just don't. He's not that sexy pick. Like, I was just like, right. I'm like,
nobody wants.
I'm like, especially all the quarterbacks and how everything was going and where this is, and his landing spot. I'm like, fucking Denver. I'm like, that's what it was. But I do get it. Like, Superflex quarterback has a couple of good games. Boom, I sell that fucker and get what you can get out of it, or whatever is worth your while at the time. Anyway, like I said, as long as he has that little bump to get you over the hill and get you out of him, or whatever you like, get his stock while it's hot.
Use him and abuse him, and then get out quick.
That's it.
So we're going to do the flip side of that. So what's the one rookie that you're just like absolutely, and it's probably, given the amount of leagues that you're in and everything, maybe you don't play it this way, but that you're just like, I'm targeting this fucking guy in every draft that I'm in, whatever round he happens to fall in, first, second, third, whatever that is. It could be late round, doesn't matter. But like that one rookie where you're just like, I'm targeting this guy even if I have to pick him up earlier than what people are going for. Mike.
Man, I got too many of them, to be honest. Like, my player shares are going to be nuts. Like the first one I'll give you.
Let's go at position then.
Well, at quarterback, it's going to be Michael Penix at quarterback. Because that's a guy, sometimes he's slipping to 203, 204. Like, and at those prices, I'll take all the fucking Michael Penix for the Bo Nix reasons, right?
Yep.
Like, we don't know what the hell's going to happen with Michael Penix, and I think that makes it the biggest mystery box out there. Like, I don't know. Is Michael Penix starting this year? I don't know. Probably not.
Possibly.
Possibly, though. I don't know. Is he starting next year? Maybe. I have no idea. Is he even good? I think so. Obviously,
Arizona State. He wasn't that great. He wasn't that great at Arizona State.
There's too many question marks. But back to like the Bo Nix thing, it's just like at the fucking Michael Penix prices. Just sign me up, because if this is Jordan Love 2.0, fuck man, all you had to do was just be patient. And all of a sudden you got a top 10 dynasty quarterback on your hands. It's like, oh shit, look what I fell into. Jordan Love was a first round NFL pick, and I remember being in dynasty leagues, Matt. Jordan Love
3 years
like
he sat on the bench.
Jordan Love was like a third round rookie pick.
Yeah.
In those dynasty leagues when he came out. He was drafted in the first round.
Yep.
And people didn't take him to the third round. And if you had a little bit of patience, like even if you don't even like Jordan Love now, like you're a Bears fan like Matt and you fucking hate the Packers, right? You could sell Jordan Love for 2 first. Easily.
100%.
And all you had to do was just be patient. So Michael Penix, probably a quarterback. At running back, there's so many of them. I'll give you Kamani Vidal. I try to snatch him up everywhere. Ray Davis, I try to snatch him up. Tyrone Tracy, a great 4th, 5th round guy that I try to snatch up everywhere. And then every now and then, sometimes Rasheen Ali slips through, and like it's a waiver priority. So at the running back spot, like those are the guys. Wide receiver, I mentioned him earlier, but just because Xavier Legette just gets dunked on everywhere, and people don't like him.
He does.
Like if I get him at the 206, 207, same for Ricky Pearsall. Like I understand he's 5th option right now, unless something changes.
Dude, he's been going in the leagues that I'm in. He's been going actually early second. Like he hasn't made it past 2-3 in most of my leagues that I've drafted in.
Dude, I got some like Ricky Pearsall at 210, and I was like, "What the fuck is going on here?"
I wish.
But that's the kind of guy. Like right now, the situation's not good, and if you told me he goes in with the same situation to this year and they don't do anything. Like, he's probably not producing any real fantasy points worth of shit, but
no, you got to sit him.
Hypothetically, though, they trade 1 or 2 of these guys. Holy fuck, this is a first-round wide receiver San Fran just took in that offense. Smash.
Sign me up. But you know what the crazy thing about it is that like 2 or 3 years ago, Mike, and again, you've been Dynasty a little bit longer than I have, but wide receivers would come out and you'd expect them to sit for 2 or 3 years before they actually meant anything anyways. Now it's like the immediate satisfaction of like, if he doesn't hit right away, you're like, fucking guy's a bum. Sky Moore is a prime example of that. I mean, he's had 2 seasons, but still, it's just like, usually it's the 3rd season it takes as a breakout. Third year breakout. It's all like what it was like for years. And all of a sudden it's like, if you're not anything the first year, get off my fucking roster, you're worthless. So the patience has kind of gone out the window.
I think with the first year, we got a little bit too over our skis. Like a lot of people are starting to do this with Jackson Smith and Jigba. And just remember, like his first year wasn't that bad. Like he had some pretty good games at times, right? He beat the fucking Eagles himself. Like that's what it felt like. So he was in a bad situation, but I see people already like trying to write him off. This is wide receiver 1 last year. This is a guy that you took in the mid part of your first round. Like what the fuck are you doing? Like why are you panicking? I understand the value isn't like super great, but like that. But if you bust to Sky Moore's level, Jalen Reagor, Quentin Johnston, we have historically shown that if you bust to that level, like the odds of you ever coming back from it are zero. We used to do that 3rd year breakout shit, and then the NFL, like even now, goes like, okay, I don't see shit from you in the first year. That's like make me feel a little bit good. Your second year is probably dog shit too. Like you really got to turn it around in your second year. And we ain't even
or special teams, you got to have some type of value. Otherwise, they're going to just cut you at a certain point.
Unless you're Rashad Bateman. I don't know how the fuck he got an extension. Like this, he hadn't done shit. What are we doing?
Throwing money, man. Throwing money.
So, and then tight ends.
Yeah, I cut you off, my bad.
Tight ends don't fucking matter. So, waiver priority if Eric All makes it to waivers. There's my tight end. I'll try to get everywhere. That's it. The rest
Cincinnati.
of them. Fuck them all. Fuck all them tight ends.
Do you want to go, Pat?
One person I like. Doesn't like major or anything else. Like I think that I'm gonna watch a little bit. I like Brian Thomas Jr. from LSU. I like that, bro. I'm telling you, like with the opportunity in Jacksonville now, with some things opening up, I think that's just someone I have my eyes on. To be honest with you, out of everyone, I'm not like super in depth as you guys, but that's one of the people that I'm like super like excited to see how he progresses.
And honestly, with him, like his prospect was like everybody was projecting him to be all the way up to. Some people had him, depending on the analysts. I'm not saying Mike, but it's like some people had him at between 4 and 6 is usually the wide receiver spot that they had him. Obviously, after the big 3, it was usually like right after that. It was like the next tier of wide receivers. He kind of led the charge, or was second that charge. And then to see kind of like where he fell and kind of like the fall from grace as far as like how people look at him is kind of insane. But Brian Thomas, I agree. Like he's somebody that I've, especially that, coming from that offense at Texas, it's like, look who you're behind too. It's like, and you still had all that production. It's like you still were able to kind of, LSU at Texas.
LSU, yep.
You still were able to kind of like do all of the production and everything. So I agree. Mine is Jermaine Burton, Cincinnati. And I think only there, and it's not to give, Pat his props and his Cincinnati boys, but it's like T, won't be there next year. And they obviously like his biggest concerns for Burton was obviously off the field issues, attitude, and kind of personality. I think being in that room, they can keep him hopefully in shape and kind of keep him in line. But I think he's obviously he's being prepped, primed, and readied to be the T. Higgins replacement in that offense. Wide receiver 2. We've already seen what T. Higgins can do. I'm not saying he's going to be exactly T. Higgins, but the opportunity, which is what we always look at in fantasy and dynasty, is opportunity, right? But the opportunity is there, and he can slide right into that position. And then maybe earlier, they may trade T in the middle of the season, and just to say, hey, we're moving on, and we want to get a draft capital out of you before you walk. So we want to get something from you. So why don't we trade you? And then he could become the wide receiver 2 midseason. Not saying it's going to happen. Possibilities there. But Burton's the kind of guy. Vidal, I agree from a running back perspective, Mike. I think he's like, in that offense, it's like, damn well they're running the hell out of that ball all the time. So it's like he could have prime opportunity to kind of step into at least a 60-40 role. And then if there's an injury, he could easily take over the whole backfield and have a monster role in his first season. So
the Rasheen Ali one, Matt, I just had to look. I'm at 16 shares and counting, right? There's probably like 6 other rookie drafts going on right now too. So that might be like 22 by the time this fucking show's over.
Ali, it's funny that you mentioned that because like Ali's somebody that I've been targeting over the last, like, I've already done, out of the 13 Dynasty leagues that I'm in, I think I've done 10 or have kicked off 10 rookie drafts so far. And I've swooped them up or tried to at least in 3 or 4 of them, but the later ones that started out in the past like couple of days. But yeah, he's somebody that not a lot of analysts have been talking about. And it's just something that, like, given that offense and knowing that, like, they're going to run a lot and there's opportunities there, right? So there's a lot of injuries that can happen in front of him from the running backs in front of him. So again, an opportunity where he could easily fill in very quickly. I think he's somebody that, like, nobody really talks about. And to your point, you can pick him up in the waivers, which is insane after a 4-round rookie draft. And nobody's taking the risk on him.
It's nuts with him, right? I get it was a smaller school. Marshall's not like some fucking powerhouse anymore. Back in the 70s it was.
Yeah.
Back in those days, or 60s, 70s.
We are Marshall.
They don't play a lot of tough competition, but he produced like a fucking crazy man when he did play. Like, when he played at Marshall, he put up numbers. He's a good athlete. I understand the draft capital is not like the greatest, but who gives a shit? Like, in the 5th round of your rookie draft, does it really matter that much? Derrick Henry's old. Like, I'm a big fan of Derrick Henry for this year. Like, that's somebody I want to have on my dynasty team, if I'm competing. But, like, he could fall off a cliff or get injured at any time. Justice Hill is terrible.
Terrible.
He's absolutely
everybody's waiting for him to actually hit his peak. Like, oh, it's a Justice Hill year, and then nothing ever happens. Yep.
It's never happened. And then Keaton Mitchell's coming off a very, very serious knee injury.
Yes.
Like, very. This is an offense, like, whoever the fuck the running back ends up being, like, that's somebody that you're going to want. Line up, best ball, whatever. Like, you're going to kind of want that guy. So I don't understand why more people aren't on the Rasheen Ali thing. Like, he kind of hits all the benchmarks that you want, where you're like, hey, if he's nothing,
he's free.
If he's nothing,
and he's fucking free. Yeah. Like,
if he's nothing, okay. Like, they cut him in training camp or put him on the practice squad, then fine. Fuck it. Well, I didn't pay anything for him.
It goes back to, like, also Baltimore, their one goal is a championship. So they're not going to sit there and take Derrick Henry and give him 80% of the workload. You know damn well that's not going to happen, at least at the beginning of the year. They're going to find somebody to come in, split the workload, kind of divide that up, especially as they start to ramp up and get closer to mid towards the end of the season. They're going to be taking a lot of workload, I imagine, off of Derrick Henry, regardless of who else, Justice Hill, whoever else is, like, might be there, might not be there, Keaton Mitchell. They're going to want to have somebody else there to relieve him at the end, and then have Derrick Henry do Derrick Henry things in the playoffs, and he can run people over and wear defense down. So, yeah, it's weird that, like, nobody's ever. Mike just dropped off the live stream. Not sure what happened, or the stream, but
that's okay.
Let's see if he comes back. Oh, there he is.
He's back.
There you go. No, I saw you try to talk, and, like, I don't know if you're talking to me or if you're muted talking to somebody else, but it's all good.
All that Derrick Henry hate, like, it just kept it's like you good.
Kick him, get him out of here.
Get him out of here.
Like, unnecessary. Yeah. Get him out.
All right, we're at about the hour mark, Mike. I want to make sure I'm kind of conscious of your time. So if you got more time, we can kind of rip through a couple more questions. Or
it's Saturday. What else am I doing?
I just want to, Pat, you good? We'll do a couple more questions. How you looking? Another 15, 20 minutes? We'll kind of, like,
I got 2 other people I want to pick his brain about that I like.
All right, so why don't you go? Like, I've asked a lot of questions. Pat. Yeah, I'll shut up for a while.
I like Jalen Wright, especially with his speed and everything down there. And I think, like, especially with injuries and all this other stuff, I think, like, especially with Mike McDaniel's offense, I think it fits in nice. But I want to pick your brain with him because that's the one I love. I saw him and he's a monster. I think he's a speedster. He fits right in with that whole flow of everybody,
That's a guy, pre-NFL draft process. I loved him a lot. Like, I had him right up there. Then we do the NFL draft, and, like, I started where he went, I was like, what the fuck? What's going on here? Like, it faded him. So when we had those early rookie drafts, I didn't get a lot of Jalen Wright. But smarter people than me have been, like, telling me, like, hey, this is kind of think about it logically. I like Achane a lot, but Raheem Mostert is old as shit.
He's old.
Achane is yep. I'm not going to say Achane's injury prone, but with that profile, being that smaller guy, like, he is a risk.
He's vulnerable.
He's very vulnerable.
Yeah.
And any running back that you get in that offense, like, who can get some workload, you want them on your fucking team. I mean, there was a time I wanted Jeff Wilson all over my fantasy teams, right?
Yeah,
Jeff Wilson, who's slower than dog shit. Like, I wanted that guy out there. Like, Salvin Ahmed at one point was a hot name. Myles Gaskin, way back.
Salvin Ahmed, dude. Holy shit! Talk about throwback.
You want that dude, and I think sometimes in rookie drafts he goes a little bit too early for my comfort. Like there's some other guys that I kind of like better around that range, but I've started to really warm up to the Jalen Wright thing, like being more aggressive and trying to get him. And I think it's just because I got so much Marshawn Lloyd instead of Jalen Wright that I'm like, all right, let's balance this fucking profile out here a little bit more. Instead of taking Lloyd like I would every single time, let me take some Wright. Let me get some Jalen Wright on my team. So that's a good one to have because he's very interesting. Say hypothetically Mostert's dust, HN gets nicked up. Fucking Jalen Wright could walk in and put up 20 points a week in that offense.
That's what I'm saying.
He really could.
Monster.
Insane.
Yeah, that's why I was like, that's been on my list. And then I got one more. It's like that I think pairs out right. It's Javon Baker, bro. I love it. I think with him with May, I think it plays right. But I want to pick your brain on that too.
He's a good target if you can get him cheap. If you can get him cheaper. Like I see some people taking him over Jalen Polk. And I'm like, the fucking Patriots didn't even do that, man. We have a lot of
that. That just happened. That just happened. Sorry to interrupt you, Mike, but that just happened in a Dynasty league that we're redrafting, and it's my boy Jack. So Jack Kittysack, if you're listening to this, he took him. I'll have to look it up. I think it was the second round, end of the second round, and he took him over Polk. Polk wasn't even taken yet, and he took Baker, and he had a smile about it afterwards, like in the chat. I'm just like, dude, you know, like, yeah. Anyways, sorry to interrupt you. So, what's your prospect or your thought on when do you think is like the good time to kind of target?
We have so much data on day 3 wide receivers and so much data just in general on hit rates. It's like what wide receivers can produce a top 24 season. And the odds of a day 3 guy doing it is extremely low. The odds of a day 2 guy doing it is a lot better. I mean, it's not great, but I mean, you're talking like 21% more often it happens. That's a big fucking percentage. And you're telling me we just want to throw all those out the window because you go like, I like this guy more than the other guy. The fucking Patriots didn't even like that guy more than the other guy, which is why they took one in the second round. They waited a couple rounds and then they took the other guy. But I do like the situation because it is just Jalen Polk. It is just Pop Douglas. It's a dusty-ass Juju Smith-Schuster and a KJ Osborne. Like the wide receiver room isn't great in New England, and it's a new quarterback, so you don't know how he's going to develop with weapons. I think probably your best case scenario is like you kind of get a Romeo Dobbs like feel. But I think a lot of people get over their skis when they draft him in the late second, especially in this class that's so deep and so good. They take him in the late second thinking like this is the next Puka Nacua. Like, okay, that's a very rare thing. Stop fucking reaching for that kind of profile. It's not good bet. I'm not saying he's terrible. I like the kid and I like his profile, but just get him at a reasonable
at the right value.
cost. Like don't at the right value. Like, there's a lot of wide receivers. Listen, I'll take Jermaine Burton all over the place before I'll take Javon Baker.
100.
Because the situation is just like this dude just comes in and all of a sudden, like, boom, he is playing in 3 wide receiver sets in Cincinnati with Joe Burrow in an offense that I watched make Tyler Boyd relevant. You know, made Trenton Irwin relevant at fucking times. And Jermaine Burton is extremely fucking talented in his own right. So I think when you kind of put like some of these other wide receivers up to him, like that's kind of where I go. Like, why are we taking Baker over like a Roman Wilson, for example? Like Pittsburgh, who hits on hits on these third round wide receivers left and fucking right. Like, what are we doing? Why? What is the point of this? Or the Jalen Polk one just sends me off a fucking ledge. Just sends me off a ledge. Just ignore what the Patriots told you about.
The only team that drafted both of the players. Yep, they literally drafted both players and they picked one over the other. But yeah, I mean, I agree with you, man. With the Roman Wilson. I'm surprised that like sometimes he falls so low. I'm like, I don't know, like not a sexy school. Obviously, Michigan didn't really pass a lot. Going to Pittsburgh, which people are not necessarily don't look at them as Cincinnati. They're not throwing the ball everywhere across the field. But I think a lot of times you can get them as a steal. So for everybody watching or listening, what I've dropped on the screen was actually our rookie draft that just ended in Elite Fantasy Nation, just for kind of context of where people went. You can see Mike McNutted. Teardown King, you can see him in 105. You can see me 102, Dynasty MD. And then you've got City Stars, that is Pat at the 109. So I just throw that up there for context so people can see a live rookie draft, how it played out. This is for money. It's not, it wasn't a mock or anything like that. This is actual real draft where people had, skin in the game. So figured we'd kind of toss this up at the end. Again, we're about an hour and 10 minutes in. Figured, if there's anything here, I had a couple of other questions I want to throw out, but Pat, I'll leave it up to you if you kind of want to throw out any questions regarding the draft and where people fell, people that surprise picks, maybe, you know, we can kind of take it into a couple of different directions and kind of go from there.
I mean, like you hit them like, you know, my I didn't have a lot of picks clearly this year to get it into next year is really where I'm kind of aiming at. But Corley, that's who I took, and I'm a little higher on him maybe
at 301.
Yep. Yeah, 301. That's where I took him at, and I was like, because I had a couple people there, and you know, goddamn fucking Roger took who I really wanted. We all knew who you just really just spoke on him for like 20 minutes. And I mean, being a Bengal fan is one thing or not, but I was like, he's gone. And then Corley was there, and I'm like, because the Jets, I'm like, it's Wilson, and then, you know, it's like it's nothing. I mean, Rodgers going to be there at least for another year, right? You figure, give or take 2 years. So I'm like, and he can learn underneath him, and the whole quarterback situation is going to be a mess later on. But I'm like, there's no real major, you know, second or slot. So that's kind of where I put him in, kind of see where he's going to fit with Rodgers, and he can learn from such a great mind. That's the only reason why, like, that was my train of thought for that. And I wanted to know what you thought, Mike, with that. I mean, I know you're not high on him and not really putting stock into him, but like, I guess that's how I saw it. And I was wondering, like, do you see what I see, or am I completely way off on this?
No. I see some of it too. He got draft capital, which made him interesting. He got a landing spot where there's not a lot of competition outside of Garrett Wilson, which is fine. Like, Allen Lazard is a turd. Mike Williams is like waiting for another ACL on that MetLife turf. Like, that's going to happen.
Yep, 100%.
And Tyler Conklin's fine. I think I was very low on Corley coming into the pre-draft process because his ADOT is abysmal. So I went back to like some of my favorites coming in. Like, okay, who's guys who kind of fit this profile, who are really dynamic after the catch, really physical, like guys in the past that I was in love with. And I went and looked at like their historical stats in college and kind of pulled it up and did a 1-for-1. Corley was the worst out of all of them, which didn't help. Which didn't help my situation, right? Like, I was a big LaVisca Chenault truther for the longest time, way too long, and he did fucking nothing for me. And then I go look at his ADOT versus Malachi Corley's, and I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ, this is even worse than I thought. But to your point, Pat, like, lately I've been taking more shots on him for the simple fact that, yes, I think that he is probably overdrafted or not a very good wide receiver prospect. But the Aaron Rodgers thing, the lack of talent on that depth chart, and then I always think back to there was another guy kind of in that situation, which Aaron Rodgers got younger in his career when he came out, who kind of fit that mold as this like do-it-all underneath guy who we didn't really know if was going to take it over the top. And it didn't fucking matter for a couple of years, and that was Randall Cobb. And I'm like, what if Randall Cobb is in the range of Malachi Corley's fucking options? Like, what if that happens? What if his range of outcome is from dog shit, terrible, worst version of LaVisca Chenault, but also like, hey, in the third round, I might get a Randall Cobb early in his career.
B+.
Like, I'm going to want some exposure to that. Like, I'm going to want a few dart throws. Now, this isn't a guy, though, you're going to see it at the end when I got all my shares, player shares. I'm not going to have a lot, but I'm going to have a few here or there. Like, I want to diversify enough where I do have some exposure so I'm not in the Tank Dell situation I was last year with 0 fucking shares. So that's kind of how, anyways, like how I like to play Dynasty is I correlated to something I did in the past, and was this good or bad? And if it was really bad, why the fuck did I make this bad decision? And how can I rectify it the next time? Yeah.
Yes. 100%.
So the Malachi Corley thing at the 301 is not the worst thing, right? If you asked me a week ago, I'd think, fuck, what are you doing? What are you doing? But then literally today I took Malachi Corley at the 301 pick just because I'm like, I want to get some exposure to him.
Yeah, before he drops.
Cool, man. Yeah, you never know.
So who in here do you think shock as far as what round they went? I won't call it a round or anything, but just what, in your opinion, just like your thoughts, your process of just went earlier was a surprise for different reasons. I've got one that just immediately mine is in the third round that pops up, but I think it's because more people are talking about him now than they have before. But
Mike, Pearsall at the 201 was like,
that's what I said
because I haven't seen him go that high.
So that's Rodgers. So Ellis 606 is Logan Square, which is where he lives out in Chicago. It's an area in Chicago, a neighborhood in Chicago, and 606. I guess is his address, or maybe it's a zip code or something. I don't remember exactly, but so that's when I said that Pearsall kept getting taken early. It's usually by Roger. He finds these guys that he's locked in on, and he pulls the trigger because he wants to make sure that he gets them. So Parasol, a couple of times that he pulled them, to me was definitely a shocker too, as far as like how early it went. Yeah, because I was hoping to get him at the 205 is what I was hoping to get him at.
Sorry, Roger. Like my next 3 are all your picks too. Maybe we're going to motivate Roger to win a championship this year. But yeah, Troy Franklin at the 212. Like
212. Yep.
Baker, Roman Wilson. Like why? Marshawn Lloyd. Like guys with much better draft capital.
Yep.
The NFL hated him. Why you take him at the end of the second? And then the Malik Washington in the mid part of the third. I was like, well, that's awfully high for Malik Washington.
Very high.
And then we had we had a Johnny Wilson in the third round.
Yeah. See, I even missed that. I completely missed that part of it. Yeah. I had a McMillan who in Tampa Bay could easily be replacing Mike Evans or Godwin in a year or two.
He's stepping in. Like Trey Palmer had some pretty decent games for him and was like a sleeper for a lot of people heading this year. Like he comes in
stepping into that role.
Absolutely nukes Trey Palmer, right? And then you don't know what happens with Godwin's contract and Mike Evans getting up there in age. Like, come on, man. Take Jalen McMillan. What's wrong with McMillan?
Like, again,
so I was interested.
He's one of those, like, McMillan I look at is like, he's one of those names that's not sexy. Same thing with Roman Wilson. I think people look at him as like, that's not a sexy landing spot, not a sexy name. You haven't heard a lot about him, blah, blah, blah. Like, they find reasons to kind of pass on them, and they go for, like, big guy Johnny Wilson out of Florida State that's 6'5" or however the hell he actually measured up to be. And he's in Philadelphia. 6'6", and he's in Philadelphia. So they look at the landing spot, even though he can't catch you can't catch anything. He's like, his hands are like rubber. Like he drops pretty much everything in his hands. So it's like,
well, he wasn't even the first wide receiver they drafted either.
No,
the first wide receiver they drafted didn't get drafted in our rookie draft. He's not on here.
Which is insane. Yeah.
It was kind of like the Javon Baker, Jalen Polk thing. Like the Eagles didn't even like Johnny Wilson over Anaya Smith, which is why they took Anaya Smith. He profiles more as that slot receiver who can do stuff underneath than Johnny Wilson. Johnny Wilson profiles more of that. Yeah, we're going to try you out at tight end here after this doesn't work at wide receiver.
Because they're 6'6". And in the end zone, you're so big you can catch anything. So
it's interesting, some of these receiver spots. And then Eric All, that was like the Eric All. Like I like him, but it's an Iowa tight end you're a Bengals fan, Pat. Like this dude's missing time. He's missing time this year. He's coming off an ACL. You might even redshirt the entire year. And in the landscape of like where tight ends really don't move the needle, like this is a dude that you just, I guess you're stashing on your taxi squad for a year at least.
Yeah, I mean that's it.
Ooh,
I mean think about
we don't even have a taxi squad because this is a best ball league.
This is best ball league. There's no taxi squad.
But I mean, like, look, like they signed Gesicki, Sample, they got all these guys like tight end. They got 3 solid tight ends that'll perform before him anyway. You know what I mean? Like, so he could just
Tanner Hudson's back. Yeah,
Tanner Hudson. Like, we got 3. I'm like, you really don't. Well, he's like number 4.
You drafted McLaughlin too out of Arizona, who is actually a pretty decent profile. Got a pretty decent profile. So, like, that's the Bengals tight end at least for like this year in 2040. You can see maybe doing something. I can't see Eric All doing a whole lot.
No. Vidal, I was actually kind of surprised to see him go in the early mid third. Usually, like I've seen him drop into like the back end of the third or early fourth. I mean, I think the opportunity is there. It could easily be an amazing smash pick. I love your pick of Garendo all the way at the 411, Mike. I mean, that's somebody who I've been targeting. Everybody looks at obviously San Francisco, CMC. We've seen. Injuries can happen at any point. Like obviously, we've never seen anybody's injury prone, but anything can happen at any point. CMC is getting older. He's had a couple of major injuries that have steered his career over a couple of seasons. So anything can happen. We know they love to use multiple running backs in the San Francisco offense. He's walking into a major offense. Plus, in the combine and everything, his profile and kind of like his numbers that he put up was pretty good. I don't have him in front of me, but he did a pretty awesome job as far as like the stats and the numbers. So I thought that was surprising they went so far down. Sean, I want to get your opinion on Ben Sinnott. So that's, or Sinnott. I don't know how you actually pronounce that necessarily, but Washington tight end. obviously coming in with a rookie quarterback, probably depending on when he takes over or not. Usually most drafts I've seen him go in the second tight end off the board. Third round is actually really good value, I think. I've seen him go in the second round, late second round, but not that much earlier than this. But thoughts on him perspective or his? I know it's a tight end and fuck off, and we don't, tight ends, unless they're in the tight end premium league, don't really carry the value. But just your thought on that offense, because I think it could be wide open for him to get a lot of opportunity. Oh, Mike. Sorry. That's for Mike.
You're good.
I heard Mike. I'm like, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, Sanat's got talent, right? And second tight end off the board in the NFL draft. Again, like I just subscribe to this. Most tight ends don't really matter. He could be a guy though. Like if I'm going to draft a tight end in the third round, and he was sitting there, that'd be the guy that I'd want to take. Like that would be the guy I want to take. Not Jatavian Sanders. I don't think I want to make that bet on a fourth round tight end. Like, with the way this rookie class is. You talked about the Vidal thing. I like the Vidal pick a lot. Like I really do. Like look at the running backs that went after him. Yep. Like I take Vidal over Lobby. Estime, I talk shittily about Bucky Irving. The only one that I was like,
Ray Davis.
Man, I would have rather had Ray Davis.
Yeah. That's the one that popped out of me in that opportunity. Yep.
Yeah, and it's like, the Ray Davis thing. But Sanat, he's good, man. He's good. He's a beast after the catch. He's got good size. He had a good RAS score. I just, in general, though, for me, like tight ends are just so damn unsexy in this rookie class because everything else is so good. Other than
you just don't get the value, even if they're sexy in their normal sense. Like, honestly, like the rookie draft that I just talked about in Not Your Mama's league. So I've mentioned that a couple of times. Like I passed up Brock Bowers at the 111, because trading Brock Bowers versus I ended up taking Brian Thomas. I'm like, if Brian Thomas hits and he replaces Mike Evans, wide receivers are a lot easier to trade in Dynasty than they are tight ends, because tight ends are a dime a dozen. I'm like, yes, Brock Bowers is the holy one, and he's like supposed to be the best tight end for ages, but it's like it's not a sexy position. It's not easy to convince somebody to take him off your roster, even if you have a Mark Andrews. You're not going to get the fair value versus a wide receiver that hits and has an amazing season, and you can get rid of him for much more value.
We're so finicky with tight end value too. Look at Pat Freiermuth a few years ago, like had a good rookie season.
Yep.
Got a lot of hype and then didn't really follow that up, kind of got banged up. And now I think like Keep Shit Cuts got him like 12th or 13th or something. Like we just, who gives a shit? That's over. Flush him Dallas Goedert with the Eagles, like Pitts. Same kind of thing. Pitts fell down.
Rookie season. I think he's still holding some value though. He's not like all the way down in the turd level, but
first round drafted NFL tight ends are a little bit of a different story, where we're going to hold their value because we're like, there's a reason draft I took capital. Him so high. So like Brock Bowers, even if he comes in and only does like 400 yards, he's still going to be ranked pretty highly in 2025.
Yep.
But like Sanat is one of those guys where he's got to come in and actually produce right away. Otherwise, it's more like Trey McBride from 2 years ago. Like heading into last year, Matt, like you could have got like Trey McBride for a second and a grease piece. And people are like, I don't
second
give a fuck.
and a fourth.
Yeah, he didn't do much his rookie year. Okay, like we're so impatient with the tight end. We really it's like either you hit to an extreme level like Sam Laporta, or you're a first round NFL draft pick at tight end, or we just kind of write you off after a little bit and your value sinks, and like we're not patient enough to go like, it might take him a couple years, but. In reality, though, if you're taking Sanat in the third round, like who gives a shit? The problem I have is when people take him in the second round, and I'm like, what are you doing? Why?
Yeah.
There's so many good prospects here to take instead.
So many wide receivers. So many wide receivers.
Don't do that.
Yeah. Do not do that. All right. Anything else to see on the board? Or Pat, you got any questions, man? We're about an hour and 20-something minutes in, man. So
I mean, we've been cooking his brain for a little bit, but it's good
to
get into the mind of Mr.
This
Mike,
this will be first of many they'll have Mike on for, hopefully. So I love to kick it and talk ball and shop.
I gotta ask Matt, what was your decision behind Marvin Harrison over the quarterback, like for your roster?
For mine, I mean that's a great question. So putting me on the spot. So many different leagues. So let me look up. Hold on for context. This is why I hate when you go on
you got Russ, you got Hurts, you got Bryce Young on your team at the quarterback right now.
Yeah, so I looked at Russ's. So I could have taken Jaden Daniels, I looked at the opportunity of those three are good enough to get me through the next season, this next year. And that's kind of what I was hoping at. And then next year I could look at potentially either trading capital from a wide receiver and pulling stuff together and getting a quarterback if I need to. I mean, not a lot of people would probably pass on a quarterback in that position, given the structure that I have. But I looked at it as like I've got three. All I need is two to get me through a season, and I'll kind of roll the dice. So playing a little bit more on the longevity of the wide receiver there. So Jaden Daniels, I love. And we talked about this in live stream. He could be great. He could be amazing. There's something about his profile and his size that I'm worried he could end up being the next RG3, and he gets crushed and broken in half. And he has 2 good years, and it could be 2 amazing years. I mean, I remember the first time I ever won a championship was I had RG3 in his rookie year. Won me a championship, and it was a redraft league, but it was actually in Carlos's league, Pat. And I won my first time ever winning it, and it's a big $200 buy-in league at the time, 10, 15 years ago, probably almost 20 years ago actually. And at RG3, so I guess I just looked at where my big hole is on that team is my wide receiver room is complete dog shit. I have nobody. They're all wide receiver 2 low end, if not wide receiver 3 at best on the best day. So the way that I looked at it is how do I build a wide receiver room very quickly with elite wide receivers that's coming out of this draft class, and then figure out the quarterback either next year or through trades. That's kind of how I looked at it. I
got you. I'm not saying it was the wrong one. I just wanted to get
it's a great question
behind it too. Because looking at yours, how big of a fan I am of Jaden Daniels, and I'd take him 1-on-1 sometimes just to make sure that I lock up Jaden Daniels. But looking at your team build, I was like, oh, maybe he could use a quarterback. But then I looked at your wide receivers, and they're fucking atrocious.
They're dog shit. They're literally dog shit.
They were fucking terrible. So, yeah, Marvin Harrison, Rome Odunze, Brian Thomas, Keon Coleman, help save this. This is terrible. I do want to give a shout-out to Tally Binks. Hope I'm saying that right.
Tally Binks,
No first-round pick. No first-round pick in this draft, but walked out with 2 players taken in the first round of the NFL draft somehow. Right?
Yeah.
Ended up falling into Michael Penix, who was drafted at 8 overall, and then Xavier Legette. First round NFL drafted wide receiver. No first round rookie pick, somehow still walked out with 2 players drafted in the first round of the NFL draft.
Just good
targeting pure right there. Talk about running pure right there. I love
Anybody else want to give a shout out to as far as team, as far as the draft? It's only league all 3 of us are in together. You and I are in a couple of your leagues, Mike, but anybody else that you're just hey, they kind of walked away with a pretty legit.
No, I was pretty upset with Pat that he took J.J. McCarthy because I thought there was a fucking good chance I might be able to snag J.J. McCarthy in a couple more picks, right? I was I don't know how this league operates with quarterbacks, but if you let me walk out of here with Drake May and J.J. McCarthy, fuck all y'all.
Oh, that would have been another championship. You would have been counting your money again.
Right.
That's for sure.
Then when I got on the clock at the 109, I'm like, well, I feel like I could probably get Bo Nix with my 111, which ended up happening. I could get that other quarterback. So I was torn between Brian Thomas and Xavier Worthy. And the only thing, just so people are clear, I know, Matt, you didn't really like Xavier Worthy. I have them neck and neck. I don't really give a shit who you take between the 2 of them. I like both of them equally.
Yep.
My only tiebreaker was I looked at my roster and I was like, oh, I got Patrick Mahomes. Well, this is easy then. Xavier Worthy, we just stack this fucker up, right?
And I'll be clear going back to what you're saying too, as far as diversifying your portfolio. So I will take Brian Thomas more times than I'll take Xavier Worthy, but I definitely have Xavier Worthy on a lot of my squads where I've passed up Brian Thomas. So it's a 60-40. That's just kind of how I looked at it, and certainly depending on what my build is. But yeah, if you get the stack, you got to run with the stack, dude. The KC stack all day.
All day.
Yeah.
And it was good because I did make a trade. I traded away Justin Herbert before the draft started. Maybe a week or 2 before we started.
We saw that.
Had to backfill. On quarterback somewhere. We'll get that guy off my team unless he's gonna, run triple option. The Chargers, I'm good. Y'all can have Justin Herbert. But yeah, I like the draft. It was fun. It's interesting too when I draft these leagues where it's not a lot of South Harmon guys. and they all think and try to snipe me all the fucking time, and it's a pain in the ass. It's kind of interesting to play the strategy where, like, I don't know what some of these people are going to do in between these
roll
picks.
The dice.
I'm gonna roll the dice and guess. Come on, Brock Bowers. Somebody take fucking Brock Bowers here so I don't have to. Let's go.
Bonix. Yeah,
and sometimes it works out. Sometimes Pat, breaks my fucking heart by taking JJ McCarthy right after I take Drake May, just banking on the fact that I was going to get JJ a couple more picks. Son of a bitch. Got me, Pat.
Yeah.
You got
me. Hey, man.
All right, man. Well, dude, this has been awesome.
Once in a while.
Yeah, it's been awesome, man. I appreciate it, Mike. Dude, we've been talking about it. I love you even calling me out in the live stream to get you on. So it's been a pleasure, man. Appreciate talking shop, talking ball. So hopefully we'll do this one of many times. And, we've gotten, what is it? It's May. So in 3 months. We've got the Fantasy Expo coming up. So we'll be chopping shit and talking shit and, chopping shop and talking shit in person and going from there, man. But appreciate your time, dude. Love it.
Hey, it's a good time, man. Been far too long till I got on this one, but look forward to it.
Hell yeah.
I like it, bro.
I love when this started out, man. Matt, I didn't know you from Adam, but when I joined this league originally, and then I'm like, oh shit, Matt out here doing a podcast. So to see it from podcast to YouTube and the growth and getting you on for 2 days. We couldn't get you all 3 because you're old and soft. And
I'm old and I was hungover.
You couldn't make it on Saturday. And then Pat, it's good to finally meet you. Can't wait to hook up with you at the Expo,
pleasure,
man.
Bro.
We'll tear some shit up in Canton, Ohio, of all places.
Man, wild, new.
If you're ever in New York or New Jersey, you can hit Pat up. He'll meet you up for a drink. So
let's go, man. I might come up to New Jersey for Eagles game. Philly.
I'll fly down. Yeah, bro. It's an hour and a half away from me. And
dude, we should plan it.
Plays home versus Philly, just so you know. So I have to fly out. If you do want to go, I'll meet you out there.
Did it be in Cincy? You said in Cincy is a game? All right. Maybe we'll plan something out in Cincy. So
we get something in the works here.
Oh yeah. Love it, man. Here. Well, all right, man. Until next
Mike, go ahead. Make sure at least one more league get Matt in one of the next startups, so we can have more to talk about too. Because I'll join as many as you want, but gotta get Matt with me too, bro. I need my homie with me.
Hell yeah!
I got you. I'll get you guys in the league, and then I'll just beat your asses.
Love you. Take our money. just run to the bank with our money. I love it. We'll hand you our money. We'll just FedEx it right to you. Count the bills. Count the bills.
Let's go. Everybody, dollar bills.
Dollar bills, y'all. All right, everybody. Appreciate your time, man. So thank everybody for listening, for watching. Hit the like and subscribe. Also, South Harmon, Mike McNutted, man. Him and Adam, ATM. Fucking crush it, man. Love you guys. You guys have been amazing people. So definitely got to follow them and subscribe. And until next time, we're out. Peace.